Well, just turn it off then if you don't like it. Sorry, it's me again. Oh, that's nice, isn't it? You agree with him. Well, hold on. This one is special. This time you're going to want to stick around. You may be feeling like you're seeing a lot of me. It's the Euros. What do you expect? But stick around. We have a towering figure in football journalism, one of the best football writers, one of the best football talkers. There is Henry Winter, chief football writer for the Times, widely considered one of the very best football journalists, experienced, been around for so long, but yet looks no older than 30. I want to kill him. But I wouldn't want to kill him because he's just too damn good at his job. I'm delighted to say Henry is coming up. Yeah, you'll want to stick around for this one. Roll the opening sequence.
Where's your famous? Where's your famous? Where's your famous atmosphere? Where's your
Welcome to the show. The troublemaker has gone. He's heard that Henry Winter's on. He's been banished to another screen. Shall we bring him in, or shall I just sit here, make you watch me for a bit, rather than listening to one of the best football journalists? You can listen to Gadsby. All right. Henry Winter, chief football writer for the Times, formerly of the Telegraph, author of the great 50 Years of Hurt, one of the best books written about England. You'll laugh, you'll cry. It's painful at times, but what a read. Cannot recommend it highly enough. Shall we bring him in? Henry, how are you doing? Are you there? I was just kidding. He's not actually coming on the show. I just wanted to give him the introduction. Hi, Henry.
How are you doing, Lee? Nice to see you.
Not bad, not bad. Thank you so much for doing this. It's always a privilege to have you on, and I know you're extremely busy at the moment. A little game coming up next Tuesday, of course.
Little.
Yeah. So how have you been? First of all, how have you been enjoying the tournament so far?
Been really enjoying it. I mean, everyone's been a bit snooty about the group stage, and I'm not a huge fan of the third place, and I'm not a fan of it being scattered around Europe. But I think some of the football we've seen, I mean, yesterday was sensational. Group F. I struggle to sort of focus on one game, let alone two, and sort of bouncing around between the laptop and the main screen. I closed the laptop down and just left the Hungary and some Germany to it, and then focused on the sort of the delights of France, Portugal. But I think there's been some fantastic football. You look at Italy. I'm a huge Belgium fan. You know, England have defended well, not been particularly full of flair, but they've got through pretty easily.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yesterday, it was like going on a roller coaster. I've never quite experienced anything like it. Yeah, and I had the laptop as well and the TV, and it was, my head was spinning by the end of it. It was obviously exhausting, but yeah, and there have been some great games. I mean, it seems to have gone to form. I was looking at the groups, and it seems like it's always like the bookie sort of predictions, apart from Spain, I guess, not winning their group.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I mean, Italy, I think, surprised a few people, but not so much that people thought they wouldn't do well because they've been on that 26 game unbeaten run, 25 game unbeaten run, but because of the quality of their football. You know, they're so attractive going forward. I think they've been an absolute joy to watch. You know, we were expecting more Chiellini and Bonucci, and then we've just had all this great football. So they've been really good. I mean, Hungary, you've got to admire some of the football they've played. And then I don't know how to describe it. The emotional, scary, seismic story of Christian Eriksen is obviously a player we know well in England. I mean, I've interviewed him. He's a very interesting character with a lot of hinterland to him. So a lot of the Danes have. And that story, the world stopped turning. The world was basically praying for him to pull through. And, Anthony Taylor, the English referee, stopped the game quickly, got the medics on, Simon Kjær and Kasper Schmeichel. We know the strength of their characters, and they showed it again with the speed of their response, their compassion, their care for a teammate, and his family as well. The way they went over, and if you can console, they looked after Eriksen's distraught partner, and the players forming that protective ring around around Christian Eriksen. It was all, scary, but very sort of moving as well. And the reaction to it, and the Danes themselves, the teams, I mean, they shouldn't have played that night. It's a disgrace from UEFA putting that sort of pressure on them. But what an extraordinary response from them. But the most important thing is that Christian Eriksen is up and he's sending messages to people. I mean, I think it's an extraordinary story. And you just think what a cloud would have been cast over the whole tournament if it hadn't had this ending.
Absolutely. And the speed, you just wonder if, in normal circumstances, there hadn't been that assistance there and the medics, God knows. And I mean, at the time, I mean, of course, we feared, it looked absolutely dreadful. And so I just remember the feeling of when the news came through that he was okay, or he was at least conscious. I think the world almost breathed a sigh of relief. I mean, probably, to be honest, quite surprised relief, because it looked so bad. But I just remember how good I felt actually when I heard that, because it was so scary to watch, and so sort of sort of that visceral feeling of something so human going on, that, my God, I'll never forget how I felt when we were told he's awake, he's conscious.
Yeah, I mean, it was, you just think of him and his family and his friends, and I know Kasper Schmeichel a bit, and I know the strength of his character, and that's echoed throughout the sort of Danish dressing room, and they reacted with the speed of sportsmen, and they reacted with the compassion of true friends. So yeah, I mean, it's just had you don't know what the future holds for Christian Eriksen, and I hate speculation about that. The important thing is that he's with his family again.
Can they do a 1992?
Oh, well, Peter might have a word. Kasper's dad. They've got Wales on Saturday. That's going to be emotional. They've got so much,
Wales, isn't it?
Yeah, they've got so much goodwill towards them. I don't know what the state of the stadium is they're in Rome, aren't they? How many people there will be allowed in that? Might be different if it was in Copenhagen, but I just think people all around the world will be willing for a group of players who've shown what good men and good caring teammates they are.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing story. And like you say, just fantastic to see that he seems to be okay. All right, then, we have to get into it, this little game. I mean, what have you made of England so far? Again, we seem to be in this sort of area where we just don't know what to think. I mean, we have clues, but what have you made of England so far?
I thought England's Achilles heel was going to be the defence. I thought they would get caught out. But I thought they would be able to make up for it with their, their fine attacking. When you look at the quality of players that Southgate's got to call on up front, Jadon Sancho, who's about to move for 77 million quid to Manchester United, has been tearing up the Bundesliga. Marcus Rashford's played 63 times this season for club and country, and he's got 24 goals. Harry Kane, Golden Boot. Jack Grealish, Phil Foden. Who else have I missed out? I mean, England's attacking strengths. Mason Mount, if he were available, what a fantastic player he is. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, these are players who've had good seasons, who are in form, who are ready to roll. But the concern was at the back, particularly with Maguire out, John Stones. He's had a good season. That was the concern. And I think they've conceded one goal, and that was against Poland. in the last like 950 minutes. Got to go back to Dries Mertens' free kick over the wall and past Jordan Pickford in November. So, you know, the defence is good. In a slight way, that's where the good news ends. Calvin Phillips has been good as one of the holding midfielders pushing on. I think he's added a little bit of energy and urgency, but they're just too slow in transition, England. You know, they've got that pace. I mean, Raheem Sterling's been their best player, and particularly when they get the ball through to him quickly, he can make a difference. It's Southgate's a conservative coach, but he's got through the group. But if they go out against Germany, the reaction on Wednesday won't be that kind.
No, it won't. You know, and history is certainly against them on that. But I agree with you. I mean, who would have thought England would have, you know, I'm not sure if not conceding. I mean, that's possible. But, you know, 2 goals with that attack is a bit of concern. And, you know, they are up against a Germany side, which is, I mean, they're quite cavalier and they're not like the Germany sides of old. I mean, they attack in waves. And, I mean, that's going to be a very different test for England, isn't it?
It is. It's not a typical German side, but a few people are writing off Germany, saying, well, they're not the team that, you know, they've got some decent players. they're not as effective. But I can remember being in Munich and seeing Michael Owen and, you know, even Heskey scored the 5-1 in 2001. And then it was England who went out in the quarterfinals, and it was the German side that we'd all derided who got to the final. They're a tournament team. They do have this mentality. They have got some good players. I mean, Neuer's not been at his best in goal, but he's still a goalkeeper and a leader of substance. Rudiger's had a good season. They've got Gundogan. You know, they've got Toni Kroos. I mean, Kroos has not been at his best for a while, but it's still a special player. They've got the attack, you know, in a wing-back system. You look at Gosens and you look at Kimmich as well. I think they've been outstanding. The way they switch the ball, they're a really good team to watch. We've seen in the last couple of months, 2-3 months for Chelsea, the damage that Kai Havertz can do, the intelligence of his movement. You saw that in the Champions League final, running onto Mount's ball. He's you know, he may not be perceived as so much of a goal threat for Germany, but he's increasingly respected for that because of his movement. And Serge Gnabry as well. I mean, Sunday's probably been a little bit disappointing, but again, on his day, he can be very effective. So they've got some good names in there. They're just, well, they got a little bit of criticism the other day, but I'm sorry, I never write off the Germans.
No, and you know, if you ask me, I think their performance against Portugal was certainly one of the best displays of the tournament. So, I mean, I would go even further. I'm not confident at all about Tuesday. I know we're supposed to always get behind and predict the best, but I mean, I think this is a very, very good, you know, set of players. I mean, you've just named them. I mean, you've got World Cup winners, Champions League winners. I mean, you know, one of the best midfielders in the world. Maybe he's not quite as good as he was before, but you know, it's different. That's a very good point you made about 2002, but these players I think are a lot better, and I just get that feeling that we're doing that thing again, aren't we? Where, you know, oh, it's a weaker Germany side, you know, we'd much rather play them than France, maybe, or Portugal. But it's going to be, I just think it's going to be a really, really tough game for England.
It's interesting, been talking to the players at St George's Park today, and Marcus Rashford spoke very eloquently, and he had a sort of slight wry smile. It's quite an iconic character, Rashford. He had a quite wry smile when we kept on throwing questions about Euro 96, and he said, well, most of us weren't born then. You know, he's quite, he said, you know, we don't fear the past because it actually doesn't have too much resonance to us within, you know, they're effectively in the double bubble. They are in the England bubble, the tournament bubble, and they're obviously in, well, apart from one or two, you know, Mason Mount and Ben Chilwell, who didn't respect protocol, they're in a COVID bubble. They're really cut off on the outside world. Obviously, they've got phones and they check on social media, but they're not necessarily seeing all the replays of Southgate's missed penalty or, you know, all that. They don't treat it as another game because they know the significance of playing against Germany. But I think they think more about the quality of the individual players they're going to be coming up against. They live in the present rather than thinking, oh, remember Beckenbauer, oh, remember Gerd Müller, oh, remember Netzer, oh, remember Mesut Ozil leaving Gareth Barry for dead in 2010 in Bloemfontein. So, you know, they're pretty balanced bunch, actually, having sort of spoken to them. Interesting to see how Southgate copes with it, because he's going to have all the penalty miss thrown against them. But encouragingly, they're already practicing penalties. But then, as they say, they've been doing that for the last 3-4 years. Plus, also the whole England can't win penalty shootouts. You know, they beat Colombia in the World Cup and they beat Switzerland in the Nations League. So they know how to get through shootouts now. And you've got a goalkeeper in Jordan Pickford who'll fancy himself to save one. He'll also fancy himself to take one.
Yeah, that's true. And Germany, last penalty shootout, I believe, I think it was against Italy. I mean, they won it, but they were all over the place, really, wasn't it? I mean, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And, you know, bring that on if it's going to go to that. Wouldn't that be incredible, England beating Germany on penalties in the tournament?
Well, I can remember when Southgate started out, and you just thought, you always look for symmetry in sport. You always look for, I mean, redemption's a bit of a cliche. You look for closure. And, you know, Southgate, every day someone comes up to him and says, listen, mate, were you the guy who missed the penalty? You know, even young people. So I think it's, yeah, what a moment it would be for him, because he's carried that for a long time. But in a way, he's been answering the question for the last 25 years. So I think maybe these 4 or 5 days he'll be able to cope with it. And wouldn't it be wonderful for him if it did end?
Well, I mean, what a narrative! The last Englishman to kick a ball in the last major tournament, leading out England. You know, it's Hollywood stuff. Well, if it comes off, it's Hollywood stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, do you? Well, actually, what I was going to say, I mean, the rewards of. I mean, I hate doing this as well, sort of looking beyond the game. But the reward is enormous, isn't it? If England were,
I can't look beyond the game. My long experience with England, I don't even look past the next throw-in, let alone the next game, Lee. You know what they're like, particularly when it's Germany. And even though this is if England play to their potential, England have got a really good team. It's still Germany. It's still that mindset. It's still their game management, their intelligence. I mean, Jogi Löw, it could be his last game. I was at school in Munich as a kid, so I've got a lot of respect for German football anyway. And being a journalist who's covered them for so long and covered England for so long, you know, having sat through games against the Germans, there's I now know the German for penalty, Elfmeter. I'm sure it haunts my dreams. So look, if England play to their potential, if they play without fear, England have a huge chance.
What's your most abiding memory of this great rivalry?
Actually, Munich, and also on a club level, Manchester United beat Bayern Munich in 1999. The sporting nature of the German fans. Partly because it was explained to me by a guide who took me around the German football museum in Dortmund, near the station in Dortmund. Definitely, if you're ever there, I'm sure you've been, Lee. I mean, it's definitely worth a look. I think their sporting nature. I find the German fans pretty sort of sporting. I think I can remember I walked in with a couple of Manchester United fans into a bar in Barcelona, and there were some Germans in there drowning their sorrows, and they just looked up, saw some Manchester United scarves, applauded, and then went back to their drinks. I quite like that about them. So memories, the guide, the tour guide of the German Football Museum in Dortmund, he said, and now we go to the trophy room. There's quite a lot in there. You know, you got the 4 World Cups and everything, and it's all lit. It looks like a sort of bank vault in a James Bond film. It's brilliant. But they also had a sort of mock version of which you had to sort of press yes or no. Did the ball cross the line as well? So I just stayed there, sort of punching yes. I still get actually quite amusing emails occasionally from the German Fußball Museum. Absolutely, I can recommend a visit there. quite interestingly, Kevin Keegan, when he was at Hamburg,
Mm.
he was obviously, I think, so keen to leave that they actually had his locker door with wood, and he'd scratched all the last days as he counted down before he left. It's amazing. Plus some of Jurgen Klopp's sort of early team talks. Brilliant place. Probably takes you slightly longer to get around than the English Football Museum in
It's
Manchester.
hard. It's hard. You're absolutely right. It's hard to dislike the Germans. Actually, I mean, I used to growing up. I used to not like the style of play. I thought it was very negative. But they've been one of the most exciting teams to watch, and what they achieved in Brazil, I was absolutely inspired by them. I thought it was the bravery and the free flowing football they played, and I mean, never a team that's deserved to win the World Cup so much. I think that year, it's
yeah,
hard
and what a goal to win it.
Absolutely. I mean, it was Mario Götze, wasn't it? I think. Yeah. And yeah, it's funny you should say that. I remember in Euro '96, after that heartbreak, I got a call from a German friend apologizing, saying, that we're sorry about that. And it is, they have a really good nature on the whole, German fans. It's great. But yeah, I mean, so many memories, but I mean, looking forward, then we've got some very exciting knockout games. I mean, how do you see it going? I mean, do you still see France as theirs to lose, or what are you thinking now?
I completely understand why everyone's backing France. You look at, I mean, Lloris, as we saw the other night, I think he's got a rick in him. But you look at the quality of Varane. You look at Kante, and Pogba seems to play better for France than he does for Manchester United. You look at the attacking options they've got, so Benzema taking his penalties and linking, Griezmann with the work he does behind them, Mbappe with his pace and trickery down the left. They are the team of all the talents. I went Belgium just to be a little bit sort of different. I just think there might be a trophy at some point in this generation. #1 ranked team in the world, Courtois, one of the best goalkeepers in the world, experienced defence. De Bruyne and Hazard came on for them the last match. Sorry?
Tricky game against Portugal.
Absolutely a tricky game against Portugal. It really is a tricky game. You look at that Portuguese team, their defence you might be able to get at. You might be able to wind up Pepe. But you just look at Ronaldo, his movement now he's just a model of efficiency. There's no fat on his runs. He makes every run count, and he doesn't make so many. And he just, those penalties, you knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Each penalty, you knew what was going to happen. So I think he's phenomenal. I do hope he beats Ali Daei's international record, because I just think he's already remembered as one of the greats, but to have the numbers to show for that with international goals is even more. So absolutely, that is that's a really, really tricky game. But yeah, I don't know. I just think maybe the mood Lukaku's in, Ruben Diaz hasn't looked at his best. Even though he's our footballer of the year, fantastic player. But anyway, yeah, that'll be a belting game. Anyway,
yeah, it will be a belting game. And you just pick players like Ronaldo and De Bruyne going up against each other. It's just fantastic prospect, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, well, Henry, by the way, I wanted to ask you, what is that behind you? It looks almost like an old Western set, or have I completely got that wrong? It's very stylish.
I think it's a clock.
Is it a clock? Is it a clock?
Yeah. To be honest, I'm moving around the house just to sort of have sort of different backdrops. I'm normally in the study, but the study is people are obsessed with the books. They go, "Oh, you've got more Manchester City books than Manchester United. You must be a Manchester City fan." No, it is a museum in Paris.
Oh, is that the Orsay?
Yeah, Quai d'Orsay, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's lovely. Yeah. Lovely. I've just been sort of glancing away at it every now and then and thinking how nice it looks.
It's got a nice cafe. That's why I know the Quai d'Orsay.
Yes, absolutely. Well, look, I know you've had a long day, and I mean, it's such a privilege always. I always feel like I know more about football.
No, it's good to catch up. I want to come over to your bar, and I want to come to your bar in Mexico.
Yes, there is that too. I mean, sort of the audience. I do get a few emails about that, asking for free drinks. If I watch, I've had the only people now I get watching my show are those who say, if I watch your show, can I have a free drink? So,
Are there screens up in there?
you know what? I have from here have been sorting all that out. Yes, and it's been a nightmare. I've been up until ridiculous hours speaking to Sky Mexico while who don't really speak English, pidgin Spanish with one of my guys in the bar, trying to sort it out.
Is that for the Copa America, or is that for the Euros?
These for the Euros, yeah.
Oh, right, okay. So what time are people watching them?
Because there are so many Europeans in Tulum,
right.
Where it is. It's a very popular place. I mean, mostly Americans, of course. But,
what time of the game? So lunchtime-ish?
It was 8 a.m. for the early ones. Now it's going to be 11 a.m. for the 5 o'clock ones, and then what have we got? 2 p.m. for the 8 p.m. ones. So it's good, and we're doing little sort of food of the nation. So we have some tapas for Spain.
You've got fish and chips against sausage and chips on Tuesday.
I argued about that. I mean, there was an idea to do like mini steak and kidney pies, but my poor chef, she was like, no, please make it. So I was basically, just stick some bacon sandwiches in there if you little bacon rolls. But we've tried to go be a little bit get people into the mood. But
and what did you call it in the end?
The bar, it's called El Aleph. So so it's Aleph is the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet.
Right.
So and it's also a short story by Borges, who is a very famous Mexican author. So, oh my God, that was what an ordeal doing that was. I mean, we were virtually about to open without a name. So,
and how close is it to the beach?
It's literally 30 seconds walk from the beach. It's not on the beach, but you cross the road and
no. I can get it. I can get a taxi. That's honestly, that's within striking distance. I can't wait to come.
We're waiting for you. The Henry Winter couch.
I want a stool like Norm from Cheers.
Yeah, of course. You got to. And when you come in, we'll all go, Henry.
Yeah,
it's just like
it comes down the counter. No, honestly, I'm definitely going to come out when we're allowed to travel again.
Yes, I know. I mean, it's difficult, and hopefully, life will get back to normal. But well, it's lovely to see you, albeit on the sort of the way we've been used to seeing each other. Thanks as ever. I would say, I always feel like I know more about football after I talk to you. So I'm very grateful. Lots of love to the family.
Thanks very much. Sorry it took me a little bit of time to come on, but I had to tune in my my screen to get your shirt into focus.
Oh right.
Nice shirt.
Do you like my new home?
I think it's fantastic. Actually, it's very impressive.
The padded walls, you can even go through it like that. So
ghostly.
Yeah. Well,
fingers crossed for Tuesday.
Fingers crossed for Tuesday. Maybe I'll see you. Thank God I managed to sort out a ticket for it.
Okay.
It's not easy. So, but I hope we do get to catch up. Would be the same otherwise. But thank you so much, sir. I appreciate it, and great show, and hope to see you soon.
Definitely. I'll see you at the bar in Mexico.
Before that.
Definitely.
Take care. Enjoy the tournament. It's late, but it's here. Euro 2020 and 2021. And Gadsby's England is still the place to come for all your England news throughout the tournament. Follow the drama, the ups and the downs. There's going to be plenty of them. Euro 2020 on Gadsby's England.